Hey everyone, welcome back to the Duck My Life podcast. I'm Sean here with Kim as always. Been a couple of weeks since we last got together to talk some Ducks hockey, and not much Ducks hockey going on right now as we're at the Four Nations break. First off, how are you doing?
Fantastic, actually. Feeling a little bit better about the Ducks, so maybe it's a bit more positive podcast. Still don't feel great, but Ducks have been winning recently, so that's a nice change.
Ah, yes. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, does it not, Kim? But yeah, you're right. The Ducks have been playing a lot better. The last 3 games since the podcast, all 3 pretty good ones. Beat the Canadiens 3-2, beat the Stars 2-1, and beat the Kings 2-1 in a shootout. I think a lot of those, yeah, that's right. Anti-Kings Hockey Club always. I think all 3 of those games were pretty common. Anything that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I'd say besides maybe like the shaky first period of the Montreal game, which was really bad, honestly, and maybe the third period in the OT against the Kings, I would say it's a pretty good level of play from the Ducks. I mean, the Stars game, wow, standout performance. They seem to have some good luck against the Stars this year. Their last game before that was pretty good too.
Yeah, the one in Dallas that we caught, that was a pretty good one. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't much offensive firepower. But this time not on the opposing team either, which has kind of been a common thing for the Ducks. But one thing I was thinking when watching these games is this the Cronin hockey that he's trying to instill in this team, like kind of defensive battle. I mean, I thought they looked pretty strong defensively in these games too. So is it really like Cronin hockey that we're seeing, or are they really just kind of playing? Stars are a great defensive team. The Kings have always been a great defensive team. Are they really just playing into the other team's system, or is this kind of Cronin's effect kind of coming through?
I really don't know, but if this is Cronin's system, this is the best stretch they've ever looked playing it, which says a lot, I guess. Maybe they finally got over that hump or whatever. But to be honest, this way of playing is pretty boring to watch.
Yeah, not a lot of offense, right? There were some interesting stats from those 3 games that I thought we could probably call out. So the game against the Canadiens, when they won 3-2, that stat where the Ducks scored 3 or more, they improved to 21-0-2. That's 3rd best in the NHL. Maybe an even more impressive stat when they beat the Stars 2-1 was that this was their first win with fewer than 3 goals since the opener. So they improved their record there in those games to 3-24-4. But yeah, against the top 5 teams, Ducks are 6-2, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, look, we got the stat. You mentioned it last podcast, so now we know the answer, Sean.
Yeah, I knew it. So yeah, I had a gut feeling, and this time the gut feeling was right.
And also,
maybe the biggest. Okay. Oh yeah, you go for it, Kim. You go for it, Kim. The biggest stat of them all.
And because they beat the Kings in a shootout from some silky finishes from Z and Leo, the Ducks are 500 from the first time since December 3rd. Woo!
Wow,
this season, crazy.
That is crazy. And we're gonna have to wait to see if they go above 500 or below 500 all the way to the end of the month in Boston. But we're going to enjoy an extended taste of 500, a 500 team until then.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess just since we are at the break, maybe we'll just kind of recap their Ducks are 6th in the division, 27th in the NHL, 9 points behind Vancouver for that final wildcard spot. So you're saying there's a chance?
According to the broadcast, there's been some PR merchants recently trying to talk up Cronin, talk up the improved play. Oh, 9 points. Woo. I will say those games in hand the Ducks had, they don't really have those anymore. So it's a tough 9 points. We'll say that. But again, happy, positive, 500. Woo.
Hard not to be positive when they just had some good games and getting to a good stretch. But maybe I can take you down a peg, Kim. There's one thing that has still not looked good. And that's the power play. I mean,
oh my goodness.
Power play 0 for 15. On their last chances, 31st in the league now. Only the Islanders are worse.
Islanders makes sense. They lost Barzell. They lost Barzell. Left our excuse.
I mean, they're trying different stuff. You want to talk about kind of the last power play unit that they threw out there?
Yeah, in the Kings game, they tried rolling out 5 forwards on their first unit, and Z was running the point, and it looked better. I mean, like I said in the video, it can't look much worse. So, looked better. They generated some good chances. Z hit a post off a deflection. Terry had a good chance at the slot. He drove the net, shot it. What do you know? Concept. And then McTavish maybe would have scored if his stick didn't break. So good overall. The second unit didn't look good, but maybe positive direction going forward.
Yeah, I thought it looked dangerous. I mean, do you think we're going to see them try this out for a little bit, or do you think this is one of Cronin's kind of line blender, try it once and then move on?
Hey, this is all Clune, right? So, I mean, I feel like they have to keep trying it. It looked good in one game. It'd be stupid not to keep going with it. But, I mean, we've seen some stupid stuff in the lineup, so.
Yeah, I guess the one thing that we have such great offensive D-men is just like, are you worried at all about maybe their development? Because, I mean, Zelly, we've talked about looking like a power play quarterback. Mintikov was that maybe last season. LaCombe is, I mean, we'll talk about LaCombe a little later, but he's really stepped into becoming a great offensive defenseman for this team. And not using any of them on the power play with that offensive upside just seems like what doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, they're on the second unit. We have 2D pairing on the second unit. So you have LaCombe, and I think it was Zelly last game. Maybe they'll change in Minty in there too. Typically, you have one defenseman just because it makes it easier to flow when you got the 2D back there. I don't know, just that the rotation didn't look as good in their brief time. Because the first unit really did command the zone almost the 2 minutes. The second unit didn't really get a look. Yeah. That's the goal. Full 2 minutes for the first unit, which fine by me. As long as Z's out there, he makes everything better.
I think that's definitely true. Kids see out there, yeah, it just seems to work. Yeah, and then brought up LaCombe. I think he was the other thing that stood out in those 3 games. He'll do the transition offense himself. I think there was multiple times where he skated the puck from the defensive zone all the way into the offensive zone, sometimes even taking the shot himself. He didn't get any points in those games now, so I haven't taken a look at the advanced stats for that, but based on the eye test, he's becoming a difference maker for the Ducks.
I mean, he might be the best story of the Ducks this year. I mean, look at Dostal, obviously. He's been amazing. But I kind of expected Dostal to be this great. No one expected LaCombe to be this great.
Yeah, not just, his skating. There was like that one spin move against the Stars. Just the passing. Just overall skill all around has been great to see. It's not like he just started doing this. He's been doing this for a while now this season. It's just he just keeps showing us examples. So just keeps giving us stuff to talk about.
He's just showing really great skill. Even like kicking the puck to his stick and getting a shot on net versus the Habs was absolutely insane. Like I wish I had a better play of it. Yeah, I literally thought it was Z. Allers out there, but with the name ring.
Homer, who would have thought going into the season?
Hey, I kind of did, but not this much.
Yeah, not this much. So Kim, we got to talk about someone else who's been playing pretty well recently. Maybe someone that deserves maybe an apology.
No.
From maybe not you, or maybe from some other Ducks fans. I still see him getting chirped in the comments. But I mean, not just these past 3 games, but I would say like maybe a little bit before that. But Killorn, I mean, he had maybe his best game of the season against the Habs.
Yeah.
Kim, really? No, nothing. No. I'm sorry, Killer. You're good at hockey.
Nope, he was terrible the first 20 games, and ever since then, I've calmed down on the Killorn hate, okay? He still falls on the ice. Every single shift, I feel like, at this point. It's amazing how many times he falls. But he does look faster, shooting harder, and just looks better overall. But concerning chemistry with Karlsson continues to be the word on the street.
I knew you just couldn't give him his flowers. Okay, go on. Let him have it. Let him have it.
Killer's goal this week. He scored a goal against the Habs. He was first star performance. Good for him. Goal and assist. Looked great, Like we said, best game of the season. But with that goal, that was the first time Karlsson has assisted on one of his 11 goals this year. And he's only assisted on 2 of Karlsson's 9 goals. So in total, if you take the point from McTavish's goal that they combined on 2, 4 total points between them all season. And yet, they have not been removed from each other on the line. Some scrub would be on the line. Now Z's on the line. But still, 4 points between the 2.
Yeah, it's just, it's like a Qui-Gon, Jin, and Obi-Wan kind of relationship, Leo is Killer's young Padawan. But yeah, they've never really tried to break it up before.
Yeah, literally.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think they've tried everything else. But so, I mean, it would be interesting.
There's like some analytics based on line pairings, and that the best line the Ducks have had this season is when Z was at center, Killorn on the right, and Cutter on the left. There is no Leo in that equation.
That does sound like an interesting line.
And ever since then, that's when Killer has also started to look better. So Z is the reason. No, Killer has been better. So good for Killer. Start slow, but now he looks smart. I've been happy with his game. It's too easy to make fun of him, He looks so old out there. Gray hair and all.
Yeah, speaking of I mean, the Ducks not having tried that, and I was saying how Cronin's probably tried every other line combination. Well, the Habs game, he was put into a little bit more of a difficult spot in that regard because Terry was out sick. Luckily, he was only out for one game, but the lines for that game, I remember seeing them before, and I was like, what is going on? I did not think they were going to win that game. Because, it was Z on the wing, Strome, Vetrano, McTavish, Carlson, Killorn, third line, Fabry, Lundestrom, Leeson, and then Cutter, Harkins, Johnson. And the D stayed more or less the same, but those forward lines, now it's like poor Cutter on that fourth line. You're a fourth line grinder now.
Hey, I guess it worked earlier in the season. Cutter got better after he was on the fourth line, but the way McTavish has been going recently, how do you break up his line with McTavish, Cutter, and Fabry? And then it's just such a simple thing to put Z at center, and we just don't do it. Z has said he hates center. Cronin has called him a center. It's just like, wing. Yeah, sorry. Just fed up with it all, So Z hates the wing, and Cronin has called him a center, and then yet he doesn't get to be. Z has looked better at center. We all know it.
Yeah, and there's like times where like I'll see Z on the wing, and I'm like, oh well, he's just not going to take faceoffs, but he's still going to be like, doing the center responsibility. But then watching the game, I don't really see that. He's playing a wing. So try to be optimistic whenever I see that, but it just doesn't seem to be the case. Because I like Z at center too. I mean, still super young. I mean, we should be trying to develop him at center. I don't know why he's being pigeonholed into the wing spot.
I mean, that line did generate a beautiful goal, a tic-tac-toe goal, but just doesn't seem like they're optimized. But again, it was one game, so it's okay.
Well, Cronin did try out our idea again, putting McTavish on the wing for that game, and he scored.
Yeah. What do you know?
Obviously, should keep doing that.
That was that fourth point that Killer and Carlson combined on, was that McT tipping goal. But yeah, the Cutter was on the fourth line because Lunderstrom's line had to be matched up against Suzuki. And yeah, okay, I understand that a little bit. Makes sense. But Fabry? Defensive juggernaut Fabry? I don't know about that one.
At least he had a reason.
I mean, they did look good together. I just don't know how Fabry is considered a better defender than Cutter, even at this point. Cutter is really becoming Z on the forecheck, on the back check. He's just big, strong, and fast. We'll see if that continues when we need to shut down Suzuki, again, or some other top-line player.
Yeah, I thought it was also funny, Cronin's post-game comments after that one, when he was talking about the fourth line, or whatever you want to call it, you said.
Yeah.
He seems like he's being really careful trying not to label any certain player as a third liner or a fourth liner after those McTavish comments. Cronin even kind of backtracked on the third liner comment. He said, McT can play first line left wing, second line center, third line right wing. It doesn't matter. He's like a utility knife. One of the core foundations of his game is he's good along the walls. He can protect pucks. He goes to the front of the net, scored the goal because he went to the net front and tipped it in. He still kept the third line part in there, but he expanded on it. So that's what he meant before, Kim. Definitely. So no need to give him a hard time anymore.
No, I'm writing receipts down. Don't worry. Fire Cronin video got to be so long. Eventually, when it happens, right? Off-season got to go crazy. It is the dream. It is the dream. But yeah, I mean, good for him on correcting his statement, I guess, but I still don't buy it. He just has seen all the drama. Yeah. So he's seen all the drama. He's hearing it from the Ducks PR. I mean, the Ducks are hearing it more and more, I'm sure, because ever since that rant video, I feel like even social media has been picking it up recently. When I called him out for lack of content. I feel like they've been posting more content recently.
Yeah, I've definitely seen more content recently, I feel.
Still sucks, but it's better than whatever it was before.
I'll take anything.
Yep, exactly.
I feel like we've been pretty critical on Cronin's lines, so maybe Kim, you should provide a solution. What would your lines be after it's the Four Nations is over? Leo dominates, gets tournament MVP.
Yeah,
and now we're back going into the game on Boston. What lines do you put in down?
All right, first line, McTavish, Carlson, Terry. Then second line, Cutter, Z, Killer. And fourth and third line, I really don't care. But I guess Lundy would be... Oh, no, Strome, yeah. Strome would be third center. Got to keep the besties together. So, Vetrano...
Got Fabry,
I guess. Oh, that line sounds awful,
or Leeson.
Oh, yeah, Leeson. We'll put Leeson with a Strome for Toronto. That sounds bad, too. And then I guess fourth line would be Fabry, Harkins, Lundy. Yeah, Lundy. I guess so, yeah. And I get deep pairings.
You're scratching Ross? Is that what you're saying?
The guy who's locked in the lineup now after he earned the hard hat against the Habs for his fight that was the turning point, apparently. But, yes.
Yeah, guess Ross is just depends who they're facing if he's going to be in there. Okay.
He's been in the lineup ever since then, so.
Okay, I think that's pretty solid for the forwards. I don't know if there's much I would really change there. A lot of that's kind of things we've talked about wanting to do, like you mentioned in that second line. We mentioned that second line earlier, and getting Z at center, and then kind of mixing up Leo and Killorn, mixing up that line. So yeah, no, I don't really have anything to add. What about the defensive pairs?
I think
this is where it's going to get spicy.
Spicy. Yeah, top six looks a lot better. Definitely in the lineup I just mentioned. But defensively, I think it has to be still LaCombe is number one, obviously. But controversy starts on the next one. I want Helleson and Gudas to rotate on the first pair. And then I want Zelly and Trouba, I think, together. And Dumoulin and Minty on the third pair. Yeah, so, no more rookie rotating. It's Gudas and Helleson. That'd be crazy. Captain rotating in and out. Never going to happen. But dream on.
Yeah, not going to happen. But, I mean, yeah, Gudas having a rough season. I feel like that's what should happen. And Helleson has been great, but the ceiling of the other three young defensemen, I think they just need some more games. And every now and then, I'm okay with them getting missing the game, but just not the amount that they're doing right now.
And I think I guess actually against the Kings, we saw all three young defensemen in the lineup because Gudas was out sick. So it was very interesting to see LaCombe, Helleson, Zelly, Trouba, and Dumoulin Minty. Basically what I wanted. So we'll see if that continues. But, I mean, it looked a lot better than I think it has. And according to Cronin, the Ducks only change the lines when they lose. So is Gudas out of the lineup for the future? That'd be crazy, huh? Come back from break and has to end.
There's no way. There's no way that's happening. There is no way. Yeah, since we're talking about the young defenseman, one young defenseman that came in, Olin Zellweger, it was his first game since January 21st.
First half, yeah.
Yeah, he looked a little rusty, drew 2 penalties, but I think overall, I mean, you can still see the great skating and the zone exits and the transitions that he was providing is something that this team, needs some help with. So, Cam, what did you think in Zelly's first game back?
Yeah, he earned an assist even, so good for him. The team looks a lot better when Zelly's in the lineup. Like you mentioned, transition game, huge. Cronin knows it too. The funny thing is, day before Zelly's first game, Cronin comes out and says, I'm not going to read the full comment because it was long, but to summarize, Zelly hasn't really done anything wrong. He's been terrific and brings offensive skill set every team would want. However, being in and out of the lineup probably has disrupted his rhythm, and sitting him isn't best for his development, and they need to find a way to get him more ice time. It's almost like he realized it was his job or something, and he could fix that.
It's almost like he realized that he can take control over the roster.
Maybe Beaker has been in his ear too much. I don't know. Ooh. All I know is I hope this means that we'll see the D rotate more, because there's no one on the team that works harder than Zelly. Last one off the ice. Got to meet him after the game. His first game back against Habs, they put him to rookie duty, even though he's not really a rookie anymore. Got to take a picture with him. So short, but nice. Smiling, half.
Yeah, were you like a step up on him?
Nope. Same height, basically. I'm 5'7", almost 5'8", so there you go. That's how tall Zelly really is.
Did you ask him a question? Did you ask him a question or anything?
No, I just said, we all see how hard you work. Keep it going, and hopefully you'll stay in the lineup.
You said what?
I didn't say that part. I said the lineup part, okay? I was nice.
Okay. There's some DML lore with that phrase. Yeah. It may or may not be responsible for getting Lyubushkin traded at Disneyland Day. Go watch the Ducks Disney Day stream from a year ago if you want to see that. Yeah, Zelly's been looking great going in, but with Zelly coming in, there's got to be someone that's the odd man out. So probably gonna be Minty. Had some mental mistakes in that Kings game. I thought like a couple of pretty bad icings. I thought. But who knows? Long break, maybe Cronin's gonna forget about that, and Minty will stay in. I don't think there's any system with it really. So you just don't really know.
Yep. Basically, you win, you stay in. You lose, we stay out. So we'll see.
It's that simple, huh?
That's simple. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Well, There was also, we hit some players hit some pretty big milestones in those 3 games. Gudis against the Habs gets his 800th, and then Trouba gets his 800th right after that in the game against the Stars. And in that Stars game, McTavish gets his 200th. Gibby gets his 500th. So milestones all over the place for that game. Gibby hitting 500. That's the first Ducks goalie to reach that mark, which is crazy. And in that same game, Gibby got his 202nd win, which means now he's only 4 behind Jean-Sebastien Giguère for all-time mark at 206. Absolutely insane from Gibby, and Gibby having a great season so far. He's always been, the prime's always been there, I feel, but it's really coming out this season. You look at the advanced stats, they're the best tandem analytically, no question. I know there's people I will say, like, no, that's best analytically. I don't know how you can't say that they're the best tandem in the league right now.
Yeah, he's putting up his best numbers basically since 2018, so having a throwback little season closer to his Vezina level caliber that he's never won. Robbed, yeah. Last time he got a Vezina vote was in 2018, so good for him. Analytically, he is number 7 goalie in the league. And Dostal is right above him at number 4. Well, not right above him, but number 4. So yeah, definitely best tandem in the league. I don't think it's really a question. They don't get the wins, but they should definitely be in the conversation for, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
They deserve something.
Well, they are getting some national recognition. There's this tweet from Mike Kelly at the NHL Network with some stats that just kind of show you how good our goaltending has been. So I'm just going to read them all. Listen to this. The Ducks are the lowest scoring team in the league with 134 goals. Next is Trashville with 143. I can't believe he said that about the Predators. Wow.
You really?
Ducks are one of 4 undefeated teams when scoring 4 or more goals. 13-0. Gibson and Dostal are both in top 10 goals and goals saved above expected per 60. The only teammates that are both in the top 10. Gibson is 9th. Dostal is 17th in save percentage, despite the team ranking last in expected goals against. The Ducks goalies have 8 steals and only 1 blown start. So that is +7 best in the NHL. They're the best tandem, folks. They're the best tandem.
And it kind of really puts in perspective this season how bad it could have been if not for these goalies. Like, the Ducks are on pace for 80-ish points, which is like a 20-ish point improvement from last season. So if you just look at that, season looks great. If you take away those 8 steals, so 16 points, it's only a 5-point improvement. So...
Well, they blew 1 start, Kim, so...
Okay, yeah, you're right.
You know better, 7.
14. 7 points, whatever. But, I mean, if you look at, like, the Kings game, Dostal was the reason the Ducks even won that game. That third period and overtime were terrible from the Ducks. So they got lucky to get those 2 points. Lucky to get even 1 point. But, again, suck it, Queens. But,
we'll say Dostal was good in regulation and overtime, but that post in the shootout was the real MVP. True. Was the MVP of that, that's for sure.
That definitely
post and crossbar. Yeah.
You're talking how good they are and how much improved Gibson is. He's really having a great season. That means the trade destinations for Gibby, trade rumors, always going on, are still going. And Elliot Freeman mentions the Oilers and Canes as possibility for Gibson. Gibson wants to go a place he can be the number 1 guy on a team. And I guess he already feels the pressure with Dostal around that he's not that number 1 guy. Because, again, they're kind of splitting starts. It's kind of up in the air who goes back-to-back games and stuff. But
yeah, I feel like I was surprising Oilers and Canes. I feel like those were 2 teams that I always saw as good fits for Gibby, even before that was mentioned. And the fact that, like, he could go to the Canes, and there is some reality where Frederick Anderson is the goalie coming back is just hilarious to me. Or that Gibby and Freddie could be on the same team.
Isn't that crazy?
Even that would be insane. I could definitely see it, but I've kind of softened on the idea of trading Gibby. I just don't know. We'd have to get a goalie back, and sure. I haven't really looked into any sort of trade ideas. I gave up on that so many Gibby trade rumors ago. And if we don't get a goalie back, then Ducks don't have anything to have a solid backup. Oh. So, Kim, should they even trade Gibby at this point?
I think the smart thing to do would be to trade Gibby, because his value is probably never going to be as high as it is now. 2 years left on his contract, $6 million. If the Ducks want to retain, which Rubika said he doesn't want to retain on Gibby. You're probably never going to get a better offer than now, but I really don't want to. Any value we get back for Gibby is probably not going to be worth what 2 years of his play would mean for us, because Dostal has struggled in stretches this season, and being able to throw in former elite, I don't know, whatever you want to call him now, goaltender, is just nice to have.
Yeah, I will say that the Friedman comments give it a little bit more weight, because usually the only trade rumor that's being thrown out there before was Saravelli, which holds like no weight, and maybe him not even mentioning Gibby now gives it some weight, because he's not even mentioning Gibby in trade rumors, so usually the opposite happens. So is it finally going to happen this time? I'm not making predictions, who knows. Something else that Friedman mentioned in his 32 Thoughts podcast, kind of lightly, but just that he gave the Ducks some kudos. The Ducks prospects are getting better, and they're ahead of the Sharks and the Blackhawks in the rebuild. He also noticed that we have too many good young D. Yeah, we've been feeling that. We've been talking about that, but I feel like we get good media, and it's just kind of with the caveat that it's nice to get good media, but it just feels like the Ducks are kind of doing well, kind of despite Cronin. But
again, we're not sure if we're really playing Cronin's system or not, or we're playing to the other team's skill set. I just don't believe that all of a sudden, like a switch, we're all of a sudden playing his system. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
well, I think the games we're playing against Boston, who's kind of having a down year here coming up. So I feel like those are the games that the Ducks usually have struggled in, playing against more of a mediocre team. So maybe we'll get a good taste of that when the season returns.
I mean, the Ducks are now worst team on the road this year. They've been winning at home recently. Yeah, we've been seeing some home wins. That's a nice change of pace for sure. Definitely makes me feel better inside seeing some Ducks wins. And based on last road trip, where I saw them lose 6-0 to the Flyers, that broke my heart. It mentally killed me inside. Hopefully it's not as bad as that one.
I don't want to say it can't be, but that's got to be the lowest point of the season.
Oh, such a roller coaster.
Let's see. There was also some interesting quotes from Scotty Niedermayer that came out. He was interviewed by the NHL. Niedermayer is kind of doing a bit of everything for the Ducks. He's saying that he believes that the Ducks are improving based on the eye test, although analytics say otherwise. And while I agree with that, because I feel like that's something that we've said in the past, that I don't know, it just doesn't sound as good coming from Niedermayer as it does coming from us, I guess. Niedermayer should be able to find some sort of advanced stat that they can rely on, something that isn't being measured or something. There's got to be something this front office is using to say the team is doing better other than the eye test.
You look at your young players, and they all are regressing besides LaCombe and Dostal. Everyone else looks worse. I mean, granted, Z has been hurt. McTavish could have been hurt early on. I think he left and came back, right? And then they're both doing better point-wise, and I just don't know how you look at that and be like, oh yeah, they look better.
It's like, oh, just look at LaCombe over there. Look at them doing all that stuff. See, they're getting better. You just focus on LaCombe.
On the one.
Yeah. So one of the players you mentioned that is regressing, Z, and even with that kind of regression, the trade rumors, they're still going on, folks. Hockey analysts, hockey analysts, and Trevor Zegras trade rumors, they just go hand in hand. But this time, it really seems to only be coming from one source, David Pagnotta, from the fourth period. He's saying that the Ducks want to get a D-man back for Zegras.
Freeman said the Ducks have a logjam of D-men. Too many young prospects. But yes, we're getting a defender back. I trust Freeman a little more, I think, for that one.
Just falls flat on his face that we literally traded away Cam Fowler earlier this year to help with the logjam of D. Still have a logjam of D. So let's just make an even worse logjam than we did have before. So I feel like that's patently false. Also, I mean, I feel like there's a turning of the tide on, or they're trying to mend the past relationship that the Ducks and Z have. I mean, kind of a rocky relationship. Kind of, there was the holdout. Bro was benching Z, it seems, every other game. You could just see in Z's demeanor that just didn't seem like he was having fun. So maybe all those rumors, that's kind of how they came to be. Like, other people could see that. But now there's been a turn, and in the past 3 days, the Ducks social media has just been going on a spree. Z is the Ducks Valentine this year. So there's a shootout goal from the Kings game. There's a video saying how much he loves OC. And then there's this quote from Cronin. The young guy I'm most impressed with is Zegras. He continues the battle. He continues to focus on the linear part of the game. His pace up and down the ice is going to allow him to be a forechecker and not just a perimeter player. He's going to the net front. He's working defensively. He's playing with pace. I think when Z is playing at that pace, he and Leo Carlsson together have such high offensive IQ. They're able to make unique plays. This sounds like the complete opposite of what Crow has said about Z in the past, and apologies for not doing a Boston accent while reading that, but Kim, what do you have to say about that?
Kind of weirded me out. The whole situation, all the Z
the
photos everywhere. Yeah, it's like, based on how it went with McTavish, you think you'd want to talk down about him again. Now Z, you're uplifting. It's a weird situation. Of course, everyone's different, Coach knows it all, how you should treat his players, right?
4D chess.
4D chess, yeah. I mean, it's great to hear Cronin actually say something positive about Z, but it's like not the stuff you want to hear about Z. You want to hear offensively. How's he looking? Yes, the defensive game looks amazing from Z. I mean, even that Kings game, he was everywhere. He had like a clean entry pass to Leo. Leo lost it. Z raced back, knocked over a Kings player. I don't know who it was. The boy was bigger than Z. Takes the puck back and creates another clean entry. All the Kings fans were so mad with their hands up from a clean hit, too. That's funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
There was another time he tripped the puck, got it to no-look pass to Leo, looking like the old Z. And Leo doesn't look at the net, but that's a whole new problem.
New problem. He's been doing that quite a bit this season. It's not new anymore.
New this year.
New this year. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, Zegras definitely seems like he's happy again, and if there is going to be a trade, the Ducks better be getting an absolute haul. Is all I can say.
Someone else who's randomly on the trade boards, Ryan Strome, who has 2 years left at $5 million. He's having a great season, second on the team on points.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a no trade clause for Ryan Strome was written into Frank Vetrano's extension that he just signed, so I don't think he can go anywhere.
Yeah.
That was a weird one. There's some team that wants to build out their bottom six. Maybe like Strome is a fit there. We're not utilizing him in the best way. Well, based on the players we have, I think it's all right. I think he could be pushed down a little bit further even in our lineup, but
should be pushed down.
An actual contending team, it's definitely plugging in the bottom six.
No, we're not getting out of those open nets anytime soon. I think someone in our Discord is keeping track. He's up to like 12 this year or something. 12 open nets. Who knows if that's accurate, but yeah, just throwing it out there.
I think that's about all the players there in the trade rumors for the Ducks so far. I'm sure as we get closer to the deadline, maybe more names are going to pop up. This organization usually has a pretty tight lip, so we don't get too many things leaked, but it should be an exciting trade deadline for the Ducks because I don't think we really know if we're going to be sellers or even buyers at this point. This is the first season where we can even ponder being like a buyer. It's not going to be anything big, but they can. Yes. I can see them trying to add something. If it's like a Trouba type of situation, but
I don't want another Trouba situation though.
Well, like a forward, yeah. Hopefully for a forward. But yeah, enough trade talk. Yeah, enough trade talk. There'll be more to come, I'm sure. But the Athletic put out their player survey article, and there's some interesting Ducks tidbits in there. Maybe we'll start with the juiciest ones first. So the player poll was there's 111 players speaking anonymously, so if you could speak freely. They asked if you have a no trade list, what's the first team on it? And the Ducks came in at, what's that, fifth, sixth? Came in at 2.44%.
Out of 82 responses. So the question...
I would say the 2 responses.
Yeah, so 82 responses from that one. And, we don't know what kind of players these are, because there's like over 1,000 active NHL players. So this is like 10%. So are they fourth-line grinders? Are they first-star players? We don't know exactly what they are, so it kind of makes you think, who are they surveying these things? But still, it's not great to be on this list.
Yeah, and also 2.44%, that would be 2 out of those 82 responses said Ducks.
Say what you want, but that doesn't seem like a lot.
Say what you want. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot, but yeah, it is interesting. There was one comment on here was Philadelphia, and there was a quote from some player that cast that vote. which maybe it's somebody on the Ducks.
Yeah, it has to, right?
The quote is, "Honestly, I wouldn't even mind Winnipeg," he said. "It's not that nice, but I just hate Philly. I just hate Philly. I can't stand it. I can't stand the city, everything. It's the rink. It's just one city that I absolutely despise. I can't stand it. I'd be sick if I got traded there. If I had a one-team, no trade list, they'd be on it in a second."
Cutter, you were definitely interviewed, bud.
Cutter Gauthier.
I will say...
No, I can.
we don't know who it actually was, but I will say their rink to train in is in New Jersey. They don't even have their training facility in the Philly area. So that's funny. But yeah, best based on my trip there. On to the next one. What coach would you least like to play for? And already, in a season and a half, Greg Cronin is fourth on this list. 93 responses at 7.69%.
Tied for third.
Tied for third, yeah, with Babcock. That's kind of crazy considering how bad Babcock was. Got fired for the whole phone thing in Columbus. Lasted like a couple weeks, I think, with the Blue Jackets. And then, I guess, leading the list, John Tortorella. So, I mean, that's not shocking there. But for Cronin to be on this list so soon is just, wow, terrible.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is people just heard the rumors and the stories.
Last season.
So, honestly, I feel like might be kind of hard for some players to even pick coach for that question. So there's 93 responses. So, I mean, 7 players pick Cronin. Some of the quotes that we heard, this kind of is why I was saying, it just seemed like they heard the recent stories. One player didn't even know Anaheim Ducks coach Greg Cronin's name, but picked him anyway. Who is Anaheim's coach? Another quote, "I've heard from other players that he's not great to play for." Another player said, "They have a lot of decent skill, that they should be a good team, but they're not."
Not wrong.
Well, it seems like a lot of it's, I just feel like a lot of it seems to be based off of maybe it's communication from current players, but those quotes kind of just made me think of Lyubushkin and the Silverberg comments, which, I mean, still are concerning, but I don't think this really adds anything more to the concerns for me, other than the overall. This is how players are feeling overall about maybe wanting to come to Anaheim. Is the thing that I guess concerns. Yeah,
big concern, and that could be very well the reason why Verbeek did not get any of his free agents this past offseason, even though he offered more money to a lot of these players because of other rumors. So as long as Cronin is this coach, we will be not getting good free agents unless we overpay them like we did Killorn and Goodies, which, yeah.
Like we were going to do with Stamkos.
Yes, and Marchessault. Thank goodness we didn't do this because suck at Preds. But Cronin has to be gone if you want to get better. That's as simple as that, just based on that. Bad news travels faster than good news usually, right? Isn't that the saying? Something like that?
Something like that. Let's see. Last thing in the athletic poll that had to do with the Ducks is what NHL team has the worst facilities. So there was just a quote that was brought up on this. The Ducks didn't reach the 5 or anything. They got 1 vote. And the quote was, "Anaheim is so bad. The dressing room is fine, but the other amenities, like the cold tub and where you warm up, it's in an old office. You don't know where you're going. It's the worst in the league." You've taken a locker room tour before. Is it that bad?
I've never seen the opposing team's facility. I've seen their locker room, and that looks fine. Like you said, the locker room is fine. From the Ducks' point of view, I think it's pretty nice. They renovated it. So how old or how long ago did that player go to Anaheim? But I mean, who knows how bad it is for the opposing team? I've never seen their situation.
Let's see. I think that's does it. Maybe we'll just kind of recap a few thoughts. Overall, I think we talked about the Ducks are doing better. Is it sustainable? I think we need to see some games. I also think this Four Nations break came at a terrible time. The Ducks were streaking, and now we're going to get a long break. So the Ducks aren't going to play again until February 22nd in Boston. But don't worry, there's still some Ducks hockey tangents. Carlson is playing with Sweden at the Four Nations tournament. We'll see. He seems to be the odd man out. Hopefully he gets into a game.
Carlson kind of has been playing as the extra forward, even playing on the 4th D pairing. Cronin's dream right there for Carlson. But next game for Sweden is Saturday the 15th at 1 p.m. or 10 a.m. Pacific Standard against Finland. And if Carlson was going to get in a game, it probably would be that game because, let's face it, Finland is probably the worst competition. Like, they have Vax as one of their D pairings. No offense to Vax, but that's kind of sad.
Look at the other D pairings. Yeah, he's the odd one out. We don't want to wish for any injuries, but that's that's something that we've already seen happen with Shea Theodore in Canada, so that could happen with someone on Sweden if he gets in. But anyways, seems like it's going to be a great experience for him, learning opportunity. There's also some goals games and PWHL games to fill the void in the meantime. I'm sure Kim's cooking up some new videos as well.
Yeah, we'll see how the videos go. I've been kind of under the weather. Anyone could hear my voice, but my voice sounds different to me.
Yeah, but without any further ado, let's get into Discord questions, how we end the show as always. It's only been a couple of weeks, so you probably don't have too many. But if you're listening, watching this, want to ask us some questions, hop into the Discord, talk all things Anaheim Ducks there. It's how I stay up to date with all the news. Sometimes too much news, to be honest. But anyways, it's a great time in there. So, Kim, you want to take it away? Get to the questions?
Yep. First one. We know Zegras was traded with Fowler to St. Louis during that whatever event, so the flock party he's talking about. We know that we were going to get Krug back in that cap dump compared to Fowler. So what else do you think was packaged in that? So if you didn't know, if you don't remember from one of my videos, Z was removed from a video from the flock party, a promotional video with the New Jerseys. There's a reason for that, because he was supposed to be traded with Cam Fowler to the Blues for Krug, and we don't know what else. But Krug said no, and also he was hurt, so the trade couldn't go through. And the only way this trade makes sense in my head is if we got Kyrou back, Jordan Kyrou. Known that Kyrou doesn't really want to stay in the Blues. I think he's happy now because I think he has got a contract, but that's the only way I see this deal making sense in my head. Anything less, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, and I don't really know the Blues, prospects system that well. That's the only name on their team that really would make sense to me too. And it also wouldn't really make sense dealing Z for a prospect like it should be for NHL ready talent. So yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Next one, what's the deal with Leo? Kind of mentioned Leo has been struggling. You already mentioned there could be a reason. It's because Killorn and him don't seem to have great chemistry. So maybe split up the besties. I guess they want to make them besties with Killer and Leo, and maybe something would happen.
Well, I think since Z came back and has been on that line, Leo has looked better. So I think that just strengthens that. Before then, I mean, even Lisa was going to throw him on the top line to play with Leo. So I feel like just Leo is sure. Maybe some of this is on him too, of course, but he's really been paired with maybe not the best line mates, and Killer and him are strapped to the hip, and then once Z went out, it was just pretty much fourth liners getting thrown in on this line, and now that Z's back, we are seeing some improvement. There is some good chemistry between Z and Leo.
And I really think go for it. Sorry,
I was just going to say they're like the two best playmakers on the team, so I don't think that's surprising.
Crow knows it too, based on his comment on Z earlier. But honestly, I think coming back from break, Leo will look better. Just being around an environment where it's competitive hockey. You would have thought it looked so good, actually. That first game against Sweden, Canada was really fun. I think it's going to be the best thing for Leo. Learn some knowledge, experience, and I think he'll come out and take over is the goal, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the next games he's going to be playing should seem at a slower pace for him, I would think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see it as a good thing for Leo. Even if he doesn't get that many games, he's going to get some practice in.
All right. With the rumors circulating around several Ducks players maybe being available at the deadline, which player besides Dumo would you like to see moved, and which players do you expect to be moved? So and expect players to be moved. That's Dumo. I would like to
mention that one.
Fabry, I guess, just because then Colangelo could come up and play, or Nestorenko could come up.
I mean, you mentioned Gibby earlier.
I don't want him moved. I don't expect him to be moved. So
earlier you were saying that it'd be smart to move.
Yeah,
Gibby,
but it doesn't mean I want it.
Okay, and you don't expect it. That's fair.
Honestly, I know people might come at me in the comments, but I kind of want to see Lundy gone. The only reason to keep him around is for Leo, because he's a buddy, but I'm just kind of tired of Lundy. He just doesn't do anything for me.
He's the new Sylph. What do you mean? He's the defensive face-off specialist.
At least Sylph had a moment in his career where he was scoring goals. I could see Leeson going just for the fact that why would he resign to Anaheim the way he's been treated? You see him being wanted to go. He's RFA, so there's no reason to trade him, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a very quiet deadline.
Yeah, besides Dumo, I don't really think I would like anyone to be moved other than Fabry. I think that makes sense, but no big pieces or anything like that. Expected.
I guess I could see Harkins being moved, maybe, but he's not worth anything. Everyone else besides Dumoulin and maybe Fabry aren't worth anything, so there's no reason that anyone.
Yeah, I mean, Harkins started on the goals to begin the season. I don't think there's a lot of contending teams that are going to want a Harkins type of player. I mean, I was hoping. I was thinking that they have a hotter offseason before, but now I'm actually like thinking about it more. And like, yeah, I think it might be kind of a boring trade deadline.
With the Ducks being at 500, do you realistically see them staying within the playoff race, or do you see them relapsing to their old ways and losing the majority of the remaining games this season? I think they'll keep doing what they've been doing all year, maybe a little bit more winning. I think they'll be out of the playoff race before April, which, I mean, considering they've been out of it by February most years, I guess that's good.
Yeah, I think this team has been consistently inconsistent so far, so they're on a hot streak right now, so I would expect like a cold streak or of some sort where it looks like they just forgot how to play hockey, and then they'll find it again. They'll find a good rhythm, and then kind of off. But second half of the season, hopefully, maybe that gets a little better. So I think, do we consider like being 9 games out of the last wild card spot, like in the playoff race, or
where they are now? You mean?
Not? Yeah, like do we consider them in the playoff race now?
No.
Yeah,
but
so like
sure, they'll stay around the same, I think.
That's what I mean. So we're staying in this like kind of distance. Is that if we're considered out of the playoff race, then yeah, maybe I think they'll stay like kind of in a similar spot to keep the good vibes going. Like during game chats and everything, I'm like, oh yeah, we're close. But like thinking of it like logically and like the pace that they're gonna have to get on to recover from this, it's gonna. Unlikely, but there is a chance. I
mean, according to the Ducks broadcast, they need like a 700 win percentage the rest of the season to make it. Don't see that happening. But we'll enjoy the good vibes for now. So how many games do you think Leo Carlsson will play in the Four Nations? Probably none, but I'll say 1 for fun.
Yeah, he's got to get one.
Finland is the one. It's got to be the one on Saturday. And then, who do you think will win Four Nations, and who will be the breakout player of the tournament?
Well, U.S. is winning.
Concur.
U.S.
Fan to win.
U.S. Hockey is now an American sport, just based off of the World Juniors. So I think that's pretty clear. Canada may as well just become. Oh yeah, Canada's got to become the 51st state if they want to win at hockey anymore.
Concur with the USA. Breakout player. I'm probably thinking someone from Finland, just because they're so weak. I think more players will have an opportunity to break out.
What about Gustafsson
for Sweden?
Sweden,
maybe.
He was, as goalie. I mean, he was. So reason why Sweden was able to come back and almost steal that game.
Opposite effect for Jordan Binnington, but
yeah,
he's the reason they almost lost that game. But yeah, I'm going to go someone from Finland, and I'll say Sebastian Aho from the Canes will be the breakout player for me.
He's pretty big. He's a pretty big star.
I know, but I mean, like, the rest of the lineup sucks so much that... But you know what? Okay. I'll throw in another Canes player. We'll go Mikko Rantanen, who is... kind of had a rough stretch with the Canes since he's been traded. He needs to turn it around.
Four Nations going to do that for him.
Of course, I could also go on my heart and say, Rickard Rakell for Sweden. He looked so good in his first game.
He looked good. Bring him back.
Yeah, bring him back.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up that when we were talking about the trade deadline. Rickard Rakell trade proposal.
Near 30 goal scorer, Rickard Rakell. All right. The Ducks have a 500 record. While nobody is ever mad we are winning, how sustainable do you think this play is? And are we playing like a 500 team, or are elements falling our way this time? Yeah, I don't think it's sustainable, or consistently not sustainable.
Yeah, I think we kind of answered this. Yeah, the team's just going to keep doing, I think, what they've been doing, but I just hope that the good stretches get longer and the bad stretches get shorter as the season goes on, especially for the second half of the season. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
We'll enjoy the winning vibes, but we'll see.
I think that's going to do it. Another one in the books. Kim, it's been a pleasure as always. And to everyone listening and watching, it has been a pleasure as always as well. If you're new, thanks for stopping by. Like, subscribe, follow, leave a review, do all the podcast stuff. Thank you for listening and watching. And go Ducks! See ya. DML, our passions high. In Orange country, let's fly. Oh, so high. Orange, black, and gold, our colors shine. Anaheim Ducks for all time. Go Ducks forever. We'll be Duck my life. DML, Orange country, let's fly together. Anaheim Ducks now.